Hi, entrepreneur. Welcome to your Entrepreneur Resources Show. I'm super excited that you're here with me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Venice, your host, and here at your Entrepreneur Resources, we discover the no-fluff action steps to help you avoid all the overwhelm and all the BS out there, connecting you with the right mentors, resources, and tools, helping you every step of the way on your entrepreneurial journey. We go live here twice a week, interviewing different entrepreneurs and experts on all areas of business. So make sure to join your Entrepreneur Resources Facebook group and look out for the events inside your Entrepreneur Resources page. And you can find all the links in the description box. Today, I have a very special guest with me. It's Micah. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Micah is a copywriter for creative entrepreneurs. She runs Blossom Copy and helps clients find the right words to connect with their target audience and sell more. So in this interview with Micah, we will be discussing the simple copywriting tips and tricks and principles behind writing a website that converts your browsers into buyers. I'm super excited to chat with you, Micah. But before we dive in, I would love for you to share more about your business and your journey with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, I'm a copywriter and I kind of fell into this field. I always loved writing. I even studied writing. But after school, I ended up doing a bunch of different things and none of them were strictly writing. I taught, I was a social media manager, I did a bunch of different things, but none of them had a title of writer in them, but I always found a way to write within the jobs that I had. And so eventually I decided to kind of get back to my roots and focus on writing. And, now I'm based in Texas, but I'm originally from Los Angeles. I've lived abroad. And so I've always loved studying words, studying how people communicate, how they are understood and how they understand. And so it's been really, really fun now to start my business, Blossom Copy, and find a way to really serve other entrepreneurs through the thing that I love doing most, which is writing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And I know that this is a common misconception about like copywriting. Would you like to tell us what it is exactly and how is it different from creative writing or any other type of writing?
Absolutely. This is my favorite topic. I'm such a nerd. So first of all, let me start off with what does the word copy even mean? It is from Latin. The root word is copia, and that means to transcribe. So it just means written text or written words. And copywriting is the art and science of using words to elicit action. It has its roots in the 1950s and 60s in the US, and it comes from advertising. So the godfather of copywriting, his name is Eugene Schwartz, and he came about in think about the show Mad Men, when they're trying to sell things differently. And so it has its roots in advertising, and copy is on sales letters, it's on sales pages, it's on websites, it's on emails, it's on TV advertisements that have words. So it's literally everywhere in our world. It's different from content writing, which is probably what you think of when you think of writing. That's more of creative writing. It has its roots in journalism, not advertising. So content writing would be a blog post. It would be a novel or an article. And the intent of content writing is to inspire or to educate or to entertain, not so much to sell or to take an action, because you don't read a novel and then immediately go out and do something because of that novel. You just enjoyed it, and that's the purpose of it. So I make that distinction because a lot of people will ask me, "Can you write? Do you write blog posts?" And I'll say, "Well, no, I'm a copywriter, and the end game is just different." So.
And I love that you made it very clear, because I think a lot of time people like get confused about what is the difference between creative writing and copywriting. So thank you for kind of laying that out for us. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of people will think it's copyright law, like that they'll think I'm a lawyer, and I have to just be like, no, I'm not going to give you any legal advice, please.
Right. That's true. It's easy to get that mixed up as well, but there is a bit of a difference in spelling too. So yeah, definitely different. It's funny because when I first heard the word copywriting, I'm like, wait, what? Like the law? Like, like getting something copyrighted. Yeah. So why is copywriting important? Like, could you kind of share some like insights into that?
Totally. So I want to start off with a quote that I think some of our American audience might know, and it's from Seth Godin. He's sort of a marketing guru, and he says, "Your brand is not your logo." And I share that because a lot of times in the online space, especially right now, people think branding is just the visual aspect. And the truth is that your art doesn't speak for itself. Your logo doesn't speak for itself. You have to speak for it with written words. And people need a clear roadmap to build trust, and then to purchase from you, because pulling out your credit card, especially online, is a really vulnerable action. And so we have to demonstrate the value or the benefit to the consumer of what we're selling through the written word. Kind of an interesting statistic is that 90% of the brain is visual, and visual things trigger attraction. The 10% of the brain is focused on written language, and written language triggers action. So you can have a really beautiful website, but if you don't have a clear call to action in words, you are not going to make a sale. So that's why it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the time people might think, oh yeah, like I can just do my own copywriting, but there's a lot of science that goes behind it, and that kind of leads to our next topic or next tip, next part of the conversation about like all the different copywriting tips that you might have to share with our audience. So I know that you must have a lot. So if you don't mind maybe starting with something that you're like, yes, this is key. This is super important that everyone should know about. Do you have any kind of tip like that?
Totally. So first of all, I'll say a lot of these tips are DIY. They're things that you can do today. And the reason is that it's important to understand your brand enough to do it yourself at the start. Because hiring a professional copywriter is really important when you get to a certain level in business, but it's an investment, I'll put it that way. And so it's important to be able to know some of the foundational principles so that you can start seeing in growth, so that you can hire a professional type of thing. So let me start kind of big picture with some tips, and then I'll get more granular. The first thing that I would just encourage you to remember is that you're a good writer. You can do it. You can trust yourself and your writing ability. No one knows your brand better than you do. A lot of us probably heard in high school, maybe from a teacher, that we weren't a good writer, and we just remembered that. I know I did that with math. And for a long time, I just thought, I can't do math. That's not true. So first of all, trust your instincts and trust yourself as a writer. The second big tip I give is that it's important to have clarity over cleverness. Of course, if you can have both of those things in your copy, you're golden. But if you can only have one, always choose clarity. It's important that people know exactly what you do and who you serve, because you only have about 2 seconds from the time someone comes to your website to keep them get them to stick around before they're going to bounce and go somewhere else. So if you can't articulate clearly, quickly what you do, you're going to lose that potential customer. So sometimes I'll see people say, I empower women to be their own goddess and live their own healthy lives. And what they really are is a health coach. And so it's okay to have this personality infused, but you also have to be clear, because if people can't understand what you do, they're not going to keep reading.
That's actually such a good point. Like I've seen, websites where I go to the homepage and then the header, it's very confusing. And I'm like, I don't understand what you do. So I'm just going to go back to Google and look for another website that does what I'm looking for, right? Like straight away.
Exactly. That's why on my homepage, right there, it says copywriter. I'm a great writer, so I could come up with a fun title, but I don't want to because that's not the point. So, okay.
Absolutely. Especially with, especially with like attention span being so short these days, right? Like it's very easy to turn people off and turn people running the other way. So yeah, I love
Exactly.
that tip. Yeah. Thank you. Like, yeah, please go ahead and share another one. Like give me
Okay.
more.
Okay, here we go. So, okay, the next one is the customer is the hero of the story, not you. You're not the hero of the story. And so this is something a lot of people miss, and it's so, so critical because on human psychology, we care about ourselves the most. And so we want to buy from someone who understands us. And when you put yourself at the center of the story that you're telling as a brand or a business, you are going to compete with the customer. So you want to see them as the hero and yourself as their guide. You're simply guiding them down the path to solving their problem. And this plays out in a lot of different ways on your website, and particularly the About page. So instead of starting off talking about yourself, you want to start off talking about the ideal customer and their pain points. And I can give you an example of this. So let's say you're a newborn photographer. Instead of saying on the About page, starting off with, "Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a newborn photographer from New Mexico, and I love photography and I love babies. And so that's why I started it. And I just really enjoy what I do." Okay, so that's what a lot of people will do. But what you want to do is start off with something like, "Hey, mama, I see you. You're tired. Your hair is a mess, but you're having the time of your life and you want to capture it. That's where I come in. I'm Sarah." And so that's just so much more compelling because we care about ourselves first and foremost, and we want to see someone who's able to solve our problems. So.
Wow. Yeah, no, definitely. I think I actually see that a lot where people are like, hey, I'm whoever, I've done this, I've done this. And I think it's great to add that credibility through sharing your own experiences, but it doesn't really talk directly to me or to the person, right? It's so much more like, yeah, it's just like, but, how does that relate to me? Like, why should I care about your story? Like, because like not saying that like in a mean way or anything, but people come to your website to solve their problem and their pain points, like you said. So it's very important to kind of connect with that instead of being like, oh yeah, like look at me. And I mean, definitely you should do that, right? I feel like there's a time and place for that. But you should kind of grab their attention first by addressing what they might be looking for.
I always say the first 2/3 are them, and then the last third is you. Of course, you want to put in your personality and your authority, but first you have to tell them why it matters. And the reason it matters is because of their problem. And it could, when I say problem, it could, sometimes it's a problem that you're solving, but sometimes it's a desire or a want, or there's so many possible pain points that you can write for: a desire to be noticed, to feel seen, to capture a memory. And so you're all fine and well, and your story deserves to be told, but just hold off a little bit and put it further down the page.
For sure. Love that.
Exactly. Okay, the next big one is that you want to make sure you have benefits as well as features on your website. This is in regards to the services page, where you list out exactly what you do, what it costs. And a feature is, let's say you have a course. You would say it has 6 PDFs, 7 videos, and 12 live sessions about how to become a virtual assistant. That's really good. But you don't want to just say that. You also want to say, this course is going to give you financial freedom. You're going to be your own boss. You're going to get your life back. You are going to get confidence. You are going to make consistent income. It's going to change your life. we don't just buy PDFs, we buy transformation. So it's good to have the features, but never ever forget why those features exist in the first place and actually saying that in the copy.
Yeah, and like touching on that emotional side too, right? Like, you know, because that's what people like kind of see themselves in. Like they want to feel that, not so much like, oh yeah, like, you know, I get all these live coaching sessions and all these different things, but you know, like I want to know how I would feel, right? Like help them understand where they will be after they take that course or take that program, or, you know, like go on a discovery call with you, like what kind of transformation they'll be able to see. I love that.
Yes. And, you know, because a lot of people, the features are important because some people are logical buyers, but most people are emotional buyers, whether they'll admit it or not. And so if they're going to spend $100, $200+ on something that you offer, you have to tell them why it matters for their heart, not just their brain. Okay. My next big thing, I told you I have a lot. I'm very passionate.
Yeah, I love this. I'm like, yes. I'm sure everyone's like taking notes right now. It's like, oh yeah, I agree with this.
Is that you want to lay out your website like a roadmap. I can't tell you how many times people don't do this. The ultimate destination is either the buy now button or the contact form, whatever you want them to do. But they come in through the front door of the homepage. And you want to make sure that you have a lot of buttons on the homepage that lead to the About page, and a lot of buttons on the About page that lead to the Services page, and a lot of buttons on the Services page that lead to the Contact page or the Purchase page. You never want the reader to get to the bottom of the homepage and just think, okay, what now? I don't really want to scroll all the way back up, so just going to close it. When the meat and the potatoes are further on in the site, but if you don't guide them, then they're not going to get there. So it's really important to remember that your website is not just disconnected pages. It's a roadmap, and every single page tells them a little bit more, tells them a little bit, gives them a little bit better of a picture of who you are and why you do what you do and why you're perfect for them. So always make sure that you view your website as a connected roadmap and not just a random collection of pages.
Yeah, I'm actually really curious to hear more about this, because depending on the website, because there are websites when you go on the homepage, there's only one call, like one same call to action button. So it would say, you know, like contact us all throughout the entire homepage. But then some websites, it's like contact us, pricing, features, like all these different things. Do you recommend that people kind of have different call to action buttons, or kind of stick to one?
I recommend different ones because some people who come there are coming from a referral and they already know that they love you. They just want to go straight to the contact page. So then at the start of the page, the very top, have one that says, I'm in. And then further down, though, for the people that keep reading, because maybe they don't know you, they just found you on a random Google search, then you want to have read my story. That goes to about. And further down, check out my services. So I recommend having multiple, probably at least 3, and kind of switching them up. And a quick Google search will give you 100,000 options of CTA language. There's so much. And but I don't think, I mean, you can overdo it with the buttons. Some pages are like assaulting you, but I definitely say 3 to 4 is definitely recommended at least.
Okay, yeah, definitely. And speaking about CTA buttons, do you reckon we should stick with very direct languages, like, for example, contact us, like pricing, features, or should we do something a little more creative, like, for example, I don't know, find out our, like, I don't even know, like message us for a free quotation, or like things like that, just a little bit longer and more, you know, like relates to the audience a bit more. What do you recommend?
It's definitely a balance. Like, my first tip was clarity over cleverness. So if you had to choose, be
True.
clear. But
Yeah.
you can add a little flavor. Like, so for example, on my homepage, I think the first button says see what I do. That goes to services. So it doesn't say services, but that's what I do, so it's still clear, but it's kind of a little bit more fun. And then instead of contact me, you can say, drop me a line, get in touch, shoot me a note, send me some love, so there's a lot of fun ways to play around with it, but just make sure you're not getting too out there where it's like, what?
Yeah. Because I've seen CTA buttons that are really long. It's like an entire sentence, and I'm just like, oh gosh, like it's like super, like it's like spreading all over my screen right now. But yeah, absolutely. I love this tip. Yeah, please, like give us another one whenever you're comfortable.
Okay.
I'm like, give me more. Yeah.
I've got this. Okay, so the next one, this is like my life's mission, is that if you have an email newsletter sign up, don't say sign up for updates. No updates. Nobody wants your updates. That's very boring, and it's not adding value to the customer's life. Why do I want an update about your brand? I know what they're trying to say is that I'm going to give you value, but you have to actually say it. So rework it to say, sign up for tips, tricks, and resources to be a better entrepreneur. You hear the difference? Sign up for updates about my company, but that puts me as the hero of the story. I'm not the hero. You're the hero. And I want to be in your inbox supporting your journey. And so that's something you can go do right now on your website. And it's going to make a big difference.
Actually, I completely agree, because whenever I go to a website and I see, like, oh, sign up for my newsletter, or sign up to find out what, like, get weekly newsletter or weekly like updates about my business, and I'm like, why would I? Like, I would never sign up to this. Like, I don't care about you at the point, unless I already know you really well and I trust you, and I'm like, yes, I want to know all about your life, like give me more. Then unless it's like that, unless it's like a celebrity or like an influencer or a huge online marketer that I love. But otherwise, I would, like, I completely agree. I would not want to sign up to that. So I feel like that's a huge mistake that a lot of people make. So I'm glad that you brought it up.
And it's like, you can share about your life and your business, but not at first. At first, you add value to them, and then they get used to you, and they like you, and they trust you, and then you can share about your life. It's a relationship, and that sounds so cheesy, but it truly is.
Absolutely, I love that. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one is, if you have a purchase page, a lot of service-based entrepreneurs don't, but if you're a product-based entrepreneur or a combo, if you have a purchase page, keep that copy extra simple and straightforward. And the reason is psychological. Humans are, it's a really vulnerable action to make a purchase, especially online. And some people are really prone to buyer's remorse. Some people, it took them weeks to get up the courage. Like me, I'm extremely frugal. I don't buy something unless I've really thought it through. And you don't want to create any ambiguity or frustration. This is your last chance to really seal the deal. And so this isn't the place to interject cleverness or personality. Really, you can a little bit, but it's really important to say, this is what's going to happen. This is what happened. This is what you can expect. So, if you put in your details, I'm going to send you an email. When you get that email, do this. So keep that copy really straightforward, and just remember to hold their digital hand when they are on that page.
I'm actually really curious about this point, because I see a lot of sales pages that are super long, right? Like you scroll and you're like, where's the end of this sales page? Mm-hmm. So you would recommend people keep it simple and just a little bit like clearer rather than making it super long. Is that what you're saying?
So I'm not talking about the sales page, but I'm talking about the purchasing page. So this is when you click, you're on the sales page and you click that button that says I'm in, and then it goes to the page where you put your credit card in, basically. If you have, like, if you are writing copy for that page, don't write a novel. Just keep it short and sweet.
Okay, absolutely. No, okay, that makes so much sense. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips about the sales page then, now that we're kind of like touching a little bit on the sales page?
Oh, I love sales pages. So, okay, so there's definitely an urban myth that people don't read copy anymore. That they don't read on the internet. I'm sure you've heard that. And the truth is that's not true. They will still read long copy. They'll still read a long sales page as long as it's not boring. And I've written really long sales pages and they have great click-through rates. So, you know, a sales page will be a little bit longer because it should have features, benefits, agitating the pain points. It should have a little about you section. It should have testimonials. And so it's okay to have it a little bit longer, but you just have to make sure it's interesting.
Yeah, I love the sales pages where you go in and then there's like a huge header that really talks directly to me. And I'm like, oh gosh, they know exactly what I'm going through right now. And that makes me want to read more and scroll through and just check out like what kind of like different offers and bonuses they offer. Because I feel like bonuses is such a huge thing these days, right?
Totally. I'm always like, where's the bonus? And like one thing I will say is just like the purpose of copywriting is that every sentence should compel the reader to read the next sentence. The only purpose of a sentence is to get them to read the next sentence. And so you never want to make it too long just for length's sake. But if you feel like your sentence leads to the next and the next and the next, which leads to a purchase, then you're on the right track and you're doing great. And it's okay if it's a little lengthy.
And like that flow is so important too, like getting, just like what you said, getting them to read one sentence and then leading them to another, and then by the end they get, like by the time they get to the call to action button, they will say, yes, like that's where I should be right now, that's what I should click on at the moment. So I love that point about, that like linking everything together.
Right. And I think that is something that comes with practice, is getting that flow down. But if you practiced, it will come. You'll understand those transition sentences. And if you read enough sales pages as examples, like you'll get it for sure. And then the other thing I would just suggest is to like use bullet points, use bold font and different typefaces, different fonts, because it creates a visual hierarchy, especially on longer pages like sales pages. Sometimes I think people are scared because maybe in English class they learned, a certain structure and this is how an essay looks and this is proper writing. But when it comes to writing on the internet, you can have fun with it. Definitely use subheadlines, headlines, use different colors. Don't get carried away, but like have fun. And it's actually good because a lot of people do scam on the internet. So if you have indicators with bold and with bullet points of like, if you don't read anything else, read this, it's gonna get the main point across to the skimmer. I'm not a skimmer very much because I'm a writer. I'll read like every last sentence, but a lot of people are not like me.
Yeah, and I love that you said like bold text and like different fonts, because I feel like when I'm reading a sales page, like those are the ones that are really standing out to me. And I skim, like I don't really read the entire sales page. And those points that stand out to me, they leave an impression in my brain. Like they, like whenever I come to the CTA button, I'll think, oh yeah, like what was it again? And then those bolded words will come out to me.
Exactly. And so keep that in mind. And also like lists of 3, the human brain loves 3. And so if you want to like choose a number for bullet points, choose 3. And you can also, this is also just really granular, but if you have a larger chunk of body copy, so not a headline, not a subheadline, but like a paragraph, you want to make sure to left align it. So many people center align it, and think about a newspaper. Everything is so sharply left aligned, and that's because the human brain reads left aligned copy 10 times easier than center aligned copy, because you're not having to find the start of the sentence with your eyes every time, which is exhausting. And so if you actually, you'll see a big difference. If you left align your body copy, people will read it more, people will purchase more, simply because they're not tired.
Wow, that's actually such a good point, because I completely, like, now that you say this, I'm like, yes, I understand it now. Like I will start using left align
Yes.
like points, and yeah, I love that. Thank you for the tip. I know that we need to wrap up pretty soon, but do you have just say 2 more tips? Like I just want to milk everything out of you. Give me 2 more great tips that you can share with the audience.
Absolutely. Okay. So this is a big one, and it's something that I had to tweak in my own business, and it really made a big difference. And it has to do with the contact form. So if you are wanting people to book a call with you or reach out to you, you have a contact form. And a lot of people will shoot themselves in the foot when they ask name, email, message. That's so vague. And so that doesn't qualify the lead for you at all. And so you're going to spend a lot more time on the back end figuring out, what do they really want? Do they have the money to purchase my service? Are they my ideal client? If you do some of that on the front end, you're going to save yourself so much time, and you're going to save that person frustration too. So make sure you have some specific, more detailed questions in your contact form. Tell me about your business. How did you hear about me? Have you ever worked with a copywriter before? Are you still shopping around, or do you definitely want to work with me? What is your price range? Like, all of these are gold, and it forces the potential lead, to think about it a little bit more, and they're going to that will help them realize, do I really want to reach out? And if they do, then they're more likely to be that dreamboat client that you just love.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I think also it feels more personal. Like that person really gave the thought into asking these questions, because you can feel like they care about you, they want to help you. So I think that's such a great point. I never really heard about this tip before, so I really appreciate this. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it helped me so much. So definitely do that. If you hear nothing else, that's like one of the biggest ones. Okay.
Yeah.
My last one is just trust the data. What I mean by that is that copywriting is also a science, and it's not just an art. And that is because we look at what works and what doesn't work. And so you can't get too attached to this thing that you wrote. And it's hard. And if you came up with a tagline that you love, but it's not working, like no one's clicking on it, people keep asking you the same question about it, then it doesn't work. And so you have to change it. And so try split testing. So try one headline for a week, try another headline for a week, see which one does better. You can do this with emails, you can do this with your website, you can do this with Facebook posts, anything. But trust the data, because in the end, that's what makes copywriting and not content writing, is that it works for you to trigger an action. And so don't get too attached to something, even if you love it, but go with the one that works for you.
Yes, I love this one. Yeah, absolutely. I cannot agree more. Before we have to wrap up, though, I know that you have a very special gift for us. Do you mind sharing that? Yeah, take a minute and just share us all the goodness you have.
Absolutely. So you can find me at my website, blossomcopy.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Miss Micah Lambert. And I'm getting married soon, so that'll change. But For now, it's Miss Micah Lambert. And I also have a freebie, which you can find on my website. It's a brand voice quiz. And so it's really fun. It'll at the end, it will give you a go-to list of words to use in your business copy, like social media captions when you're stuck, or your website when you're staring at the blank screen. It'll give you a list of words that kind of match your personality that you can use in your copy. So go ahead and take that and let me know your results.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing all the tips. I think they're so actionable, and I feel like everybody that's listening would have taken so many different notes, so much, and just like, probably reach out to you on Instagram and check out your freebie. So thank you again for being on your Entrepreneur Resources show. We do have our live interviews with experts here twice a week, so make sure to stay tuned and join our community on Facebook. And again, you can find all the links in the description box. We also have started speed networking rooms on Clubhouse, and the next one is actually in about half an hour. So for anybody that's live at the moment, feel free to join me and follow me at Venice and come say hi and chat with us. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, and I'll see you very soon. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you again